Hello everyone, welcome back to week 2 of Christmas tags. I'm Julie. In today's video, we are featuring the Freshly Baked collection. I'll be playing with this awesome stamp set right here and the thin cuts. And if you missed it last week, I used the to and from the Funny Secret Santa. They're actually still on the block from last week. And I'm also going to pair them up with the Buildable tags. Now, if you got these last year because you were following along and you saw Janice's awesome videos, you're going to love these tags today. Hopefully, anyways. I am, as I mentioned, going to use the paper collection. And even though this paper collection was a little bit busy for me, let me flip this over so you can see all of its glory. I'm going to be using the Hero paper, which is the busiest paper in that collection. Why? Because I love the zip strip right here. I can use those on my tags. And when you cut it up, it looks really, really cute. As a full sheet, it's a little busy, but as a tag, it looks fantastic. So let me clear off my desk here, and we're going to start creating 4 great tags. Before we do some of the stamping, I wanted to quickly show you the reason why I'm doing 4 tags in this video is that you can actually get 8 tags out of the one sheet. So I'm going to do 2 of each pattern. Because we are using the Hero paper and we are using back to front of this sheet, you can see that you can easily get 8 tags with one sheet, because we all know that once we start making tags, we need more than one. I'm going to use my Misty here, and I am going to use intense black ink because we will be coloring these with Spectrum Noir. And I did select 4 of my favorite ones. I opted not to use the snowflake, but you can go ahead and use that if you would like. So I'm going to stamp all of these very quickly here. And then we're going to color them in. For the purpose of the video, I just kind of separated all of my images here that have been stamped in intense black ink. And I wanted to separate them out as I color them. My accent colors are going to be Toffee and the new Seabrook color. So what I want to do here is I want to have 2 piping bags done in the Seabrook, 2 piping bags here done in the Toffee, and I'm going to match up my cookies right here. I'm going to speed through the process of coloring 1 of each of the piping bag in the different colors, and then I'm going to show you how to color these in. You can skip forward if you don't want to see that, but sometimes it's always good to see how these colors came about. I am going to mix a few Spectrum Noir markers to get the colors that I am looking for. These are the colors that I'm going to use for the tree, the heart cookie, and the piping bag. On this side right here, these are the colors that I'll be using to create the piping bag in the Seabrook color, and I'll do the little gingerbread man, and I'll use the ice gray to just give a little bit of highlights to the snowman. I'm going to start with the piping bag right here. This is a large surface to cover, but I am covering the entire base, if you want, with the red-brown blend. And then I'm going in with the mid-tone and I'm adding a little bit of shading. I'm mixing those 2 together, or blending them together, and then I'm just doing like a bit of an arc and adding a second coat of the light tone. I'm going to do that for the top as well, so a little bit of shading at the top, and then I'm going to do that little arc, and we're going to move on. So this is what it looks like, and since this is a really big kind of hollow image, or there's a lot of surface to cover, I decided to bring in, this is just a journaling pen. It is the pewter one in the 0.05, and I'm just going to draw some lines because we all know that piping bags have like these little crease lines in them. So I'm just going to go ahead here and just add a few lines, and I find that it really makes a difference in this piping bag. And here I'm just going to add it, just kind of dress it up a little bit. We'll see how just a couple of little lines here really makes a difference on the piping bag. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color this one here off camera, but let's move to these two images here. So we're going to start with the Christmas tree, and I am trying to match my colors, and I think the piping bag turned out pretty good. Here I'm using Vintage Blue Blend, the light shade, and then on the right hand side I'm just adding a shadow line. Very simple. I'm literally just tracing that down, and I'm covering the entire surface, as you can see right here. You'll also notice that I will add one dark little line underneath, kind of to separate and give it a little bit of dimension. And that's pretty much it for the little tree. We're going to move on to the little heart cookie right here, and I am starting with the Antique Pink blend on the lightest shade. I'm just going all the way around, and then I'm adding just a little shadow line with the magenta blend, and then I'm blending both of those together. I am going to go back in the center with the vintage blue just to match the little Christmas tree, and then we're going to move on to these little guys right here. Now for this piping bag, I couldn't find the exact color that I was looking for. Like, it was really bright, and this was the closest I could get to, which is the green turquoise blend, but it was missing a little bit of gray. So every time I pick a color, I try to stick to the one marker, but if I can't, then I try and analyze which color is missing. And in this case here, I was missing a little bit of gray. So you can see by adding some gray that it does change this color quite a bit. You see here, when I bring my little Seabrook, I think that adding a little bit of brown gray underneath really did the trick for this piping bag. So I'm quite happy with how it turned out. The little gingerbread guy here is done using the Earth Brown blend in the mid-tone, and then I took the darkest color and I did the hands and feet. I added a little pink to his bow, and that was pretty much it for this little guy. As far as the snowman, I use the ice gray blend, and I'm literally just tracing him on the outside to give him a bit of a shadow. I'm going back in with the vintage blue to do the hat, and then I thought, all right, let's bring a little bit of red, because I know that I want to pair him up with that little piece of the zip strip that you can see at the top. So for these two cookies here, I'm going to make them look more like chocolate cookies or ginger cookies, and these all have dies, right? So if I bring this here, you'll see that this is going to have a nice white border, and so will this cookie right here. So before I die cut these, I am going to take the mid-tone of the earth brown marker, and I'm just going to color in the outside of this shape, and then when I actually die cut this, it's going to have a nice brown liner, or it's going to have a nice brown outline, which is going to really translate well into a cookie. Let's make sure that I went far enough out, and I did. I'm going to do the same thing for the pink cookie. Alright, so now that these have all been colored in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to die cut them all, and then I'll come back and I'll show you a really cool treatment that you can do for your cookies to make them glisten. I want to give a shout out to Sandy Zimmer, who shared this technique, and I'm going to show you how it's all done. Okay, so we're going to do that cool treatment that I talked to you about. I'm going to add liquid glass to all of these images right here, and we're going to set them aside to dry. So this is something that you need to do next in the assembly, and then while these are drying, I'm going to go ahead and cut my 4 tags, my primary tags, in white. And yes, I am going to use this piece as well. So I'm going to speed up the process. I'm going to show you quickly how I add the liquid glass. I'm going to set this aside to dry, and we're going to finish the top portion of this tag. So I will add a generous amount of liquid glass on all of these pieces, and then I'll set them aside to dry. Definitely, this is the part of the assembly that we need to be patient, and I'm going to move them all the way up here. Hopefully I'm not going to bump them. And I'm going to proceed with cutting out my tags. So for this one here, I'm going to die cut them together. I'm going to put this frame inside the center of this tag, and you'll see what it looks like when it's done. And I'm also going to go ahead and cut my little baking sheet right here. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've cut all of my fronts, and this is the negative part that you get, which I'm going to keep, and I'm going to add it to the back of my tag, and I'm going to just stamp the to and from on this so that you can write on this portion of this piece. I did go ahead and I did cut 2 of the cookie racks, and they are out of the silver foil. I think that they look really, really good. And this is what I'm going to use to create my shaker. Now you only need 1 for 2 tags, because we're going to fold this in half, and I'm going to cut this in half, and it fits perfectly onto the back side right here. The important thing to note is that you need to put this piece first. So this piece is going to go down first on the back side, and then you're going to add your acetate. Otherwise, all of your shaker's bits, whatever you put inside, are all going to get trapped on this little grid pattern. As I mentioned, I'm going to cut this little piece in half right here, and I think it's like 2 1/4 or something like that, and I'm going to glue that on the back side of the front tag. Now it does fit, but the length is really just fits on this front, so you'll have to add liquid glass and then flip that over and just make sure that the grid lines are nice and straight. I'm going to add a block here. I'm going to let that sit. And then I'm going to add more liquid glass to add my piece of acetate. I find that liquid glass is really good for this. So you just have to let them sit and let them dry. And I am going to cut 2 more tags in Toffee and Seabrook, because those are my accent colors, and they're going to go right at the back of the shaker. Okay, so I have all of my pieces now, and I'm going to show you how to assemble one, and then I'll do all of the rest, and I'll come back with a project recap. So basically we are going to have 3 of these tags. One is the front to create the shaker window. This is the back tag as an accent. I did cut this on the dark side of Toffee, and I'm going to flip that over so that the pretty side, if you want, is at the back. So this is going to be what's going to form my shaker, and then this is going to be that layered tag look with the nice sentiment right here at the back of the tag. I'm going to stamp this image right here at the top and the bottom of this tag just to dress it up. A little bit of icing to make everything nice and sweet. So I'm going to stamp 1 here at the top, and then I'm going to stamp 1 at the bottom, and I'm going to stamp my to and from. I'm just going to dress up these tags at the back just to give them just a little bit more character. I'm just adding a little bit of that Seabrook at the bottom. Just find that it gives it just a little bit more glam. Right, and these are going at the back of my tag, which is quite busy, right? There's a lot going on back here, so I think that it's just going to make it stand out just a little bit more. So I really like the way that that turned out. All right, so let's put one of these together. because I think it is time. This is nice and dry by now, so I'm using 3D foam tape, and I am using the narrow 3D foam tape. It is the perfect size for these tags right here to fit. I'm going to run that along the edge of my tag, and I'm going to create a little shaker element. So this is going to go like this. Now I went through my stash and I have, I'm sure you do too, lots of sequins. So I thought of using the silver because it's going to match the silver in the front here. And I also found that these ones here, which were the julep, they also match the Seabrook quite nicely. So I'm going to add a little bit of both. So you can do two things here. This is not a really big shaker. When they're larger, sometimes they're harder to line up. If you want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, you can add a tiny little bit of liquid glass on top of the adhesive. And what this will do, it's going to give you time to kind of wiggle that into place if you don't line it up perfectly the first time. And here I'm trying to line it up. I'm going to pop that right on top. I'm going to pick that up and just move it ever so slightly, just like so. And you know what? I think I am happy with that. There's my little shaker. So this is the front part. I'm going to add this one here at the back. Before I do that, I'm going to add my little to and from. And then we're going to have to take a break in the assembly because these guys here are nowhere near dried. So this is something you kind of have to factor in. Okay, so let's do a project recap right here. I think that these turned out super sweet. I hope that you think so too. So here you've got the layered tag. I do think that the pattern paper here adds a lot to the tag. You've got your to and from at the back. Of course, it's a shaker. And then when you add the liquid glass to the cookies, they glisten and they look so yummy. I also added a little bit of stickles here. I added the pink on his buttons, and I think that that looks great. I did a double bow here in the black to pick up on the black that I used to stamp these. I find that it really completes the look. You've got this one here, and again, we did that really cool treatment with the liquid glass. We added a little bit of brown around the cookie so that it translates into a chocolate cookie. You've got your bow, your layers, all of these great little elements to this tag. I really like the double bow in the black that it picks up on the stamped image right here. I think that you'll agree that these are super fun and super cute, and I can't wait to see what Janice did with this collection. Head on over to her channel and see her beautiful tags. I'll see you next week. Oh, whoa. Well, that's good, huh? Not really.